Back when I was assisting on major label records with my mentor Bo Rochelle, every session we received with programmed drums meant hours of me rebuilding broken MIDI maps just to try to figure out how to get the programmed drums to work with Bo's preferred kits. It's always been the part of making records that I have loathed the most. Well, until recently. Because in this video, I'm going to reveal a secret tool I've been using that wipes that entire problem out almost instantly. And to take what you'll discover in this video and finally turn your killer song ideas into finished songs people rave about, I made you a cheat sheet I probably shouldn't be giving away. It's called the Riff Decoder Cheat Sheet. It's your unfair shortcut to taking a single riff idea and turning it into a real song using the same dead simple tricks pros use subconsciously to pump out hit-worthy arrangements. So when I started out making records 2 decades ago, there was literally just Steven Slate drums, Superior Drummer, Easy Drummer, Addictive Drums, and maybe a handful of other drum libraries. And it wasn't until about 10 years ago that all of a sudden we had all these drum libraries that start populating into the ecosystem using Contact, their own standalone stuff. But as amazing as all these drum libraries sound, it's impossible to collect them all. And sometimes when someone writes something in one drum library, maybe their drums for their mix or whatever doesn't sound like what you're trying to do as a final product. So they send you the drum MIDI over, you bring it into your DAW, and you're just frustrated because now you have to figure out what was this note, because the band or artist doesn't send you the MIDI mapping, which happens all the time. Or perhaps it was Guitar Pro, so it's a little bit easier because you can find Guitar Pro maps and then translate it. But as I'm saying this, you're probably exhausted as much as I am. So the tool that I've been using is called Midi Remap. And it's pretty sick because you can come to this website, you can upload your MIDI file, and then you can choose your source library. So let's say, for instance, I know that this is a Guitar Pro MIDI file, and I want to make the MIDI for Odihome drums. So I come down here and I look to see if this library is available. It is. Awesome. I click that and then I just hit convert. And now I see the drums have been converted over, and I just hit convert. And now I can download my converted MIDI file and I can import that into my DAW. But maybe this seems like a lot, or seems like it would be annoying if you're dealing with an album of, like, let's say 10 songs, 12 songs. Maybe you're working with the band for pre-pro for an album and they have written 20 drum MIDI songs, and you need to do this 20 times really quickly and then export and whatever drum library. But what happens if the library you chose for it to go to ends up not being the library that you want to use, and then you have to come back to the website? Can you tell? Can you tell by me saying this how, as helpful as this is, that's just one too many steps? Well, luckily, the owner and the programmer behind Midi Remap actually created a plugin to use. So in Logic, I have a couple of different libraries, and I'll show you why in a second. So I have Odihome drums on my first insert, and I open this up and I start playing the drum MIDI. Okay, it sounds pretty good, but let's go to MIDI effects, and then let's go over here to audio units, and then we're going to click on Midi Remap. And as a MIDI effect plugin, once it opens up, we go to source. Again, this is the actual Guitar profile, not the downloaded converted one. I go to choose target and I scroll down until I find Odihome drums, and then I start playing. Without. I mean, if that doesn't excite you, I really don't know what will when working with MIDI drums. So, okay, one thing when working with a lot of producers is they do what's called Frankenstein kits, which means that they might have like a direct kick and snare from one drum sampler, snare and kick rooms from another, tom and tom rooms from another, and then cymbals from another, China from another. But all these different libraries are combining to create one big massive Frankenstein kit that sounds like the drums. They're not just using one. This can be really helpful when going through and just quickly creating the MIDI that you need. And then one thing that's really cool is that once you put on a MIDI track and you direct that MIDI output to the drum library, that's what you're going to commit to. You can actually record the MIDI, and the translated MIDI will be on the printed track. So you can quickly do this over and over again a couple of times very, very quickly and efficiently. But another reason why this is really sick is now we're hearing Odihome drums. But let's say I want to check out what another one of my favorite libraries. This one is the Counter Kit from Kyle Brownlee. And I really love this drum kit too. So what does this one sound like? And it's on. All right, what about like this other drum kit that I really like? And this one is from Mixwave, and this is the Lorna Shore one. Maybe this track needs more of this type of vibe. You know what? Maybe that's just not the vibe I'm looking for. Maybe it's this one right here from RS Drums. Maybe I want some like, Monarch Kid. I want Anoop to sound like he's playing on the track. Maybe I want Anoop to sound like he's playing on the track. You can really hear the difference there. And yeah, like good old reliable Steven Slate drum. Or like good old reliable Superior drummer. These old at-home drums. In my brain, that's sounding like that's it. That's the winner, right? I mean, that's so sick. How could you not be excited for that? Now, one thing to note right now, Midi Remap only has you can go on the website and you can see the list of libraries that it has available. Not every drum library is available. So the owner and the creator of Midi Remap has made it in such a way to where it is a subscription-based platform. And I know a lot of people have issues with that, but if you really think it's a very small fee. You're paying a one-person team essentially to create the software and then go in when they have time to add more and more libraries. I reached out to him also and I was like, what do you need to add more drum libraries? It just came down to the amount of users and time required to add such and such libraries. So if there's more people who come in and they're using, Solomon tone drums or something like that, he's going to have more reason to add those in there. So it comes down to users and support, and then he's there to support us as the end users. So if you're ready to take everything you just learned with Midi Remap and take it up a level so you can stop watching other musicians finish songs while your ideas and songs never see the light of day and keep collecting dust, don't forget to download the Riff Decoder cheat sheet. It's your unfair edge to unlocking pro-level songwriting today. And now that you've seen how to kill the most frustrating part of working with drum MIDI, you're already miles ahead of most producers. But this is only one way to supercharge your workflow. There's actually an arsenal of tools that pros use to boost their speed and productivity in the studio so they can spend more time creating the chart-topping music that we all love and wish we could make ourselves. Which is exactly why you can't afford to miss this next video, where I reveal the pro-level tools that eliminate hidden workflow killers and let you move through your session faster than ever.